One of the issues around the report that we grappled with over the 8 or 9 months that we worked on it was how much do we sort of present an optimistic picture of green jobs, and how much did the data support that optimism, and how much did we sort of stress what needs to be done? And I guess my concluding comments are more towards the latter. Having said that, I see it more as very much a tip of the iceberg situation, but the question is, how will the iceberg be revealed? I mean, how will it actually happen? So when we talk about a transition, one of the things I think we have to guard against is this idea that the transition to a sustainable green economy is inevitable. And if you listen to some of the discussions in the policy world or in the media and from companies, it says like, well, of course, this is a foregone conclusion. We have to change. This is going to happen. It's inevitable. But when we look in sort of the cold light of the day, the extent of the challenge we face, we have to have a global transition in a speed that's probably in the realm of maybe 2 decades or 3 maximum. And it has to go against the existing trends. And that is a very big ask of human society at this point in history. We've never had a just transition. In all the economic transitions you can think of, there's always been many, many losers, some winners. And now we've got to manage a transition which is faster, global, and against the trends. The data coming out this week about CO2 emissions points to, again, acceleration of CO2, not a slowdown, not a reduction on the global scale. So the task is really big. And the investment issue, I think, is critical to this. We see very encouraging investment in renewable energy, which is what you would expect when oil has gone through the roof and fluctuating dramatically. Some of this, of course, is companies and countries wanting to be green, but a lot of it is just pure profiting and making money out of green energy and putting the investment there. But not to be discouraged, 150 billion is an exponential increase on investment, even at the beginning of this decade, 2002, 2003. So it's gone up maybe 4 times and will continue to go up, we expect. But if you look at like the Stern review that came out now almost 2 years ago, it pointed to a 50% reduction in R&D in terms of clean technology. So what we've seen from 1980 onwards was a real drop. Once the crisis, or the crisis of the oil shock of the 70s was perceived to be over, then the investment fell off. And we've got to be very careful that that doesn't happen again. The International Energy Agency has warned that against short-termism, something Jill touched upon in her comments. And they said, and I quote from one of their reports, that R&D investment is simply not adequate given the magnitude of the climate challenge. So there's a lot more investment that's got to come from somewhere. Unfortunately, there's a lot of investment still going into the fossil fuel economy. The oil companies, of course, and the coal companies are putting money into the continuation of this form of energy production, which is destroying organic life and threatening human civilization. And this is something which is a really serious problem. The subsidies alone for fossil fuel, and some of it is implemented by the World Bank and the other international financial institutions, dwarfs the amount of money being invested in clean energy. So this is a serious problem, up to maybe $250 billion a year in subsidies. Then you've got the issue of, in just one project alone, the ecological catastrophe known as the tar sands extraction in Alberta has attracted up to 100 billion in projected investments by 2020. Already 50 billion has gone into that project. This is a massive, massive problem ecologically, and it's not actually helping meet energy needs in a serious way.